Chosen one. Listen closely. This moment is not ordinary. Heaven has reached into your timeline, pulling you out of distraction and calling you by name. A trumpet in the spirit is sounding, and though no one else may notice, your heart feels it. The stirring, the weight, the undeniable pull. You know this is not random. You were never created to blend in. You felt it in the quiet hours, nights when you lay awake, wondering why you were carrying such invisible battles, days when rejection and delay pressed you into silence. Those moments were not wasted. They were shaping seasons, training you to carry a mantle others could never bear. Every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every tear, each one has been preparing you for the sound of this trumpet. Let me give you a story. There was one, long ago, much like you, misunderstood, pushed aside, told to wait longer than anyone thought reasonable, while others ran ahead. He remained hidden, questioning if he had been forgotten. But when the appointed time came, his delay became his strength. His hidden season became the foundation for his assignment. He realized the silence was not absence, it was strategy. That same strategy is at work in you. Picture a single torch lifted in a cavern of shadows. Darkness surrounds it, pressing, waiting to consume. But no matter how vast the cave, one torch breaks it. That torch is you. The darkness does not understand why your flame still burns. But heaven knows you were chosen to carry fire where others only carried smoke. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision awaits, an appointed time, though it lingers. Wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." These words are not for another generation. They are for you. The vision that has lingered in your spirit, the dream that seemed to stall. Heaven whispers that its time is nearer than you think. You are standing in the threshold moment. Suppose there. Do not rush away from this. Recognize the gravity of what you are hearing. Heaven does not waste words, and you would not be here if this was not for you. Now let your agreement rise. Type the number 77 inches, the comments as a sign. I hear heaven's trumpet, and I choose to stand. No and yes. Take a step further. Like this message. Share it. Subscribe. Not for me, but for the sake of those who are still lost in shadows. Someone connected to you needs the sound of this trumpet, and your obedience could be the very act that sets them free. This is your awakening. The trumpet has sounded. You cannot go back to sleep. And as this trumpet sounds, something stirs deep within you. The part of you that almost gave up, the part that nearly settled for less, it suddenly begins to breathe again. You sense that this is not the end of your story, but the unveiling of your true chapter. The shadows that tried to silence you now tremble at your rising. You are not walking into another ordinary day. You are stepping into divine timing. The atmosphere around you shifts, and even your enemies will recognize that something has changed. Chosen one. Stand tall. You were never meant to blend in. You are the lighthouse on the cliff, the torch in the cavern, the trumpet in the silence. The awakening has begun, and it begins with you. You realize now that you have always been marked, not just in this moment, not just when life pressed you hardest, but from before your very first breath. There was a seal upon you, invisible to the eyes of men, but undeniable to heaven and hell alike. That mark has made you different, and though you once tried to deny it, deep down you knew you could never blend in. As a child, you may have felt the weight of it without understanding why. You carried questions others did not ask, felt burdens others ignored, and sensed a reality beyond what your eyes could see. When friends drifted, when doors closed, when you were misunderstood, it was not rejection. It was preservation. You were being set apart for an assignment greater than convenience. Consider the ancient potter at his wheel. Clay spins under his steady hand. What looks like a shapeless lump begins to take form. The process is slow, sometimes painful, but the potter sees what no one else sees. That is what your life has been: a spinning, a pressing, a shaping. You are not discarded clay. You are a vessel being formed for holy purpose. There is also the mark that comes through fire. Think of metal tested in the furnace, hammered and refined until impurities are removed. Your struggles were not designed to destroy you, but to seal you with strength others do not possess. You carry resilience, not because life was easy, but because God refused to let you settle for mediocrity. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For you are a people, holy to the Lord your God. The Lord has chosen you, out of all the peoples, to be his possession. These are not just words written to an ancient nation. They speak into your very soul. You have been set apart, not by chance, but by divine selection. You were not overlooked, you were hand-picked. The world may not see your value, but heaven has already named you a treasure, somewhere along the way. You may have wondered if the mark was a curse. You tried to fit in, but restlessness haunted you. You tried to silence your hunger for more, but it never left. That is because chosen ones cannot find peace in the ordinary. The world cannot satisfy what heaven has placed within you. Imagine standing at a crossroads where countless travelers hurry by. Their paths seem easier, their choices lighter, but your feet feel drawn to the narrow way, the overgrown trail that few dare to walk. That is the evidence of your seal. Your spirit knows where it belongs, even when your flesh longs for comfort. This mark has protected you. Situations that could have destroyed others did not destroy you. Temptations that swallowed others whole could not chain you permanently. Even in your darkest mistakes, the hand of God pulled you back. You may not have recognized it then, but now you see it. There was always something different about you. Chosen one. You are not defined by the wounds of the past, but by the call of the future. The mark upon you is not fading, it is becoming clearer. And as days unfold, you will discover that what once made you feel isolated will soon become the very reason others are drawn to you. You have carried battles no one else could see. Sleepless nights, silent tears, questions that burned without answers. These were not coincidences. They were proof that you were engaged in wars beyond the reach of flesh and blood. Every unseen conflict, every invisible struggle was training ground. You thought you were breaking, but you were being sharpened. Think of the eagle. It soars above storms that ground every other bird, while others are tossed by the wind. The eagle uses the storm to rise higher. That has been your story. The winds that tried to scatter you only lifted you into position. Hidden battles are often the clearest sign of divine destiny. Why? Because darkness does not waste energy on those who pose no threat. You have felt attacked, resisted, misunderstood, because you carry a weight. The enemy fears. The shadows saw your potential long before you did. That is why opposition came so early, so consistently, and so fiercely. The ancient words recorded in the book of Job, chapter 23, verse 10 declare, "But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold." This is what you must understand. Every test has been purification. Gold is not forged in comfort, it is proven in fire. You, chosen one, are that gold. Every hidden battle, every season of silence, every wound in secret has refined you for visibility in the light. And yet, here is the paradox. You have often felt weakest in the moments that were making you strongest. You thought the darkness had you cornered, but all along heaven was building endurance, shaping discernment, and training your spirit for authority. Imagine a soldier in training camp. The drills are exhausting, the pressure relentless, the pain intense. From the outside it looks like cruelty, but in truth it is preparation. The day battle arrives, the soldier will stand steady while others collapse, because hidden training forged public strength. That is you. Do not despise the seasons where no one noticed your battles. Heaven noticed. Every tear shed in silence has been stored. Every cry unheard by men was heard by God. Not one wound has been wasted. Now here is your act of response. Write these words in the comments. I choose strength. Short, clear, unshakable. By typing it, you are declaring that your hidden battles have not broken you, but built you. It is not just a phrase, it is a seal upon your heart. It is you telling the darkness, I will not bend. I will not surrender. I will rise. Live. And when you declare those words, something shifts inside of you. The weight that once pressed you down begins to feel lighter, because you are no longer carrying it in silence. You are speaking what heaven has already whispered. Strength is your portion. Your hidden battles were never wasted, and now they become your testimony. What once seemed like scars of defeat are revealed as marks of survival, and in time, they will become the very stories that strengthen others who walk through the same fire. Chosen one, understand this. The world may never know the full depth of what you endured, but heaven has written every moment into your destiny. You will rise not in spite of your hidden battles, but because of them. Strength is not just what you have, it is who you are becoming. You now find yourself standing at the edge of something weighty, a threshold where mercy waits. Yet time presses forward. The truth is this: every chosen one eventually reaches the point where hesitation becomes dangerous. It is not that God has abandoned you, it is that delay can dull your vision until you no longer see what is right before you. Think of a lantern with oil inside. As long as the oil burns, the flame remains. But if the keeper neglects it, the flame dwindles until only smoke remains. That is what hesitation does. It consumes slowly, silently, until light weakens. Chosen one, you are standing in the space where mercy and urgency meet. Heaven is patient, but heaven will not wait forever. There was once a man who lingered too long at the crossroads. He knew what was right. He knew what was required. But he wavered. His indecision became his downfall. The opportunity that once stood wide open narrowed until it disappeared. You see, indecision is not neutral. it is itself a decision. It slowly shifts the heart from fire to lukewarm. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Hosea. Chapter 10, verse 12. Sow righteousness for yourselves. Reap the fruit of unfailing love, and break up your unplowed ground, for it is time to seek the Lord, until he comes and showers his righteousness on you. Endros, notice the urgency. It is time. Not tomorrow. Not when it feels convenient. But now. The longer the ground lies untilled, the harder it becomes to break. The longer the heart hesitates, the less sensitive it becomes to the whisper of God. That is why this moment carries weight. You are not just being called, you are being warned. Hesitation has subtle dangers. It often feels safe, like buying time. But in reality, it erodes conviction. It whispers, wait until the season is easier, until the cost is lighter. Yet no such season ever comes. The chosen cannot afford to linger because destiny has an appointed window. If missed, cycles of delay can repeat for years. Imagine standing at the cliff's edge as dawn breaks. The sun is rising, painting the horizon with color. You know that if you leap into obedience, the wind will carry you. But if you stay too long, the sun climbs, the wind shifts, and the moment passes. That is how divine timing works. It must be seized, not studied endlessly. Some who were marked for greatness have lost their vision, not because they lacked faith, but because they delayed too long. Like soil left unbroken, their hearts grew hard, and eventually, even the sound of heaven's call could no longer penetrate. This is the sober warning. You are one choice away from sharpening or dulling your spirit. Yet, even in this warning, there is hope. The very fact you are reading these words proves mercy is still near. The door has not shut. The trumpet still sounds. You are still invited into the narrow way, where purpose and fire ignite. Chosen one, do not waste the oil in your lamp. Do not let the soil of your heart grow stone hard. Break the ground. Keep the flame. Walk while the path is open. For this is the edge of mercy, and mercy is calling your name. And as you step forward, you will feel it. Mercy embracing you, strength filling you, and clarity guiding you. This is not the end of grace, but the beginning of alignment. The edge becomes the entrance. You have carried your light quietly for so long, and now comes the moment where silence can no longer contain it. The time of hiding is ending. Your very presence unsettles the darkness. And whether you see it or not, your light has already been noticed. You may have thought you were small, unseen, or overlooked, but your existence has already disrupted the plans of the enemy. Think of the first flicker of dawn. The night has ruled for hours, thick and heavy. But when a single line of light appears on the horizon, darkness begins to tremble. It knows it cannot last. That sliver of light announces the end of its reign. That is what you are. Chosen one. The dawn breaking into a long night. Your voice may shake. Your steps may be unsteady. But your obedience to rise is enough to send ripples into eternity. The enemy fears your rising more than your silence. And that is why battles grew fiercest when you tried to step forward. You were not being punished, you were being resisted. The Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 8, "For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light. I, This scripture is not only instruction, it is revelation. You are light, not carrying light, not borrowing it, but embodying it. And light does not argue with darkness, it simply shines. The shadows flee because they have no choice in the presence of what you carry. Let me give you a picture. Imagine a lantern hung on a high pole in the middle of a vast desert night. Travelers wander, uncertain of their direction. Then suddenly they spot the glow. They walk toward it, not because the lantern begged them, but because light naturally attracts the lost. That is how your rising will work. You don't need to force anyone. You need only shine. And here is where the invitation unfolds. Just as a lantern shines brighter when lifted higher, so does this message when carried beyond one's soul. To like, to share, to subscribe, it is not about algorithm or vanity. It is like raising the lantern higher on the pole so more travelers can see their way. It is a gesture of agreement, a way of saying, I believe this light should not remain hidden. When you choose to engage, it is not obligation, but beauty. It is not duty, but destiny. Just as a tree drops seeds carried by the wind, your simple act of lifting this message allows it to reach places your voice may never go. Someone, somewhere, lost in shadows, may see the glow because you decided the light was worth carrying higher. This is not pressure, it is privilege. The dawn does not ask permission to rise, it simply spreads. So too, your choice here is a spreading, a widening of the glow. Chosen one, your rising terrifies the night. Let your light be lifted. Let your voice break silence. Let the fire you carry be seen. The world is waiting, and heaven is watching. And as your light rises, it becomes like a flame reflected in countless mirrors, spreading further than you could ever imagine. What begins as a spark in your hands becomes a blaze in the lives of others. Do not underestimate this moment. What feels like a small choice now may echo as a guiding light for generations to come. The journey of a chosen one is never without signs. At certain moments, heaven speaks not only through whispers, but through numbers, patterns, and symbols that stir the spirit awake. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. They are markers placed on the path to remind you that God has been guiding you all along. Perhaps you've noticed it before, certain numbers appearing again and again in ways you cannot explain. On clocks, on pages, in the ordinary rhythm of your day. These glimpses are not random. They are reminders that your steps are ordered, your journey divinely aligned. Heaven leaves markers like a shepherd leaves stones along the path to guide wandering sheep back home, as Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 30. Even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. No. Do you see the beauty in this? Even the smallest detail of your existence is known, counted, cherished. If heaven pays attention to the number of hairs on your head, how much more the weight of your destiny? Nothing in your story escapes divine notice. Consider this. Israel once crossed the Jordan after wandering for 40 years. Their entrance into promise was not marked only by land, but by numbers, 40 years, 12 stones, 7 priests, 1 God leading. Numbers in Scripture were never meaningless. They were prophetic codes embedded with divine purpose. Chosen one. Today, heaven sets before you a number, 222, a number of confirmation, balance, and covenant promise. It carries the whisper that God is aligning you with His will, confirming His word over you, and restoring what felt broken. It is the assurance that what He spoke will come to pass in due season. Now I must invite you into action. Type 222 inches, the comments. Not as superstition, but as a prophetic agreement. It is a declaration that you believe heaven is confirming your steps, binding you in covenant, and aligning your path with divine order. When you write it, you are not just typing digits, you are sealing your faith in the unseen. Think of a builder placing cornerstones. Each stone set in place is not glamorous, yet it determines the stability of everything that follows. Your declaration is that cornerstone, silent to the world, but thunderous in the spirit. And remember this, chosen ones are not established by applause or recognition, but by alignment. You are being positioned in ways unseen, but in time, the structure will stand tall, unshakable, undeniable. What feels like hidden preparation today will be revealed as divine establishment tomorrow. Let me leave you with an image. Picture a tree planted deep in the earth, its roots pressed downward, unseen, relentless, securing strength long before branches stretch upward. The storms come, winds rage, yet the tree stands. Because what was hidden below was established first. That is you. Your roots are being pressed deep, and soon your branches will testify of the foundation beneath. Chosen one. You are not drifting, you are being aligned. You are not fragile, you are being confirmed. And your prophetic agreement today is a seed heaven will water until the fruit is undeniable. Type 222 and let heaven see your covenant. And when you write 222, you are declaring, I walk in balance. I trust in God's timing. I embrace His covenant. It is the number of confirmation that heaven is doubling and tripling its witness over your destiny. Every time you see 222, let it remind you that promises delayed are not promises denied. God is aligning details you cannot see, weaving order where chaos once reigned, and sealing you into His unbreakable plan. Every rise of a chosen one provokes a counterstrike. The moment light begins to break through, shadows stir with resistance. This is not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. The intensity you have felt is not random, it is strategy. The enemy knows he cannot erase the mark upon your life, so he attempts to distract, to delay, and to discourage. Think of a chessboard. When a piece of great value moves, the opponent reacts strongly, shifting strategy to contain it. That is how your life has felt. Each time you tried to step forward into obedience, the resistance increased. It was never about the small step itself. It was about what that step represented. The enemy sees where your path leads, and he fears it. The Apostle Peter warned in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 8, "Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour." Oh no, this scripture does not exist to frighten you, but to awaken you. Lions roar not merely to attack, but to intimidate. They roar to freeze their prey in fear. The same is true with the enemy's strategy against you. He roars through anxiety, through lies, through overwhelming circumstances, hoping you will remain paralyzed instead of moving forward. Yet, notice this truth. The roar does not equal the bite. The lion may roar loudly, but its sound cannot harm you. Fear is often louder than reality. That is why the attacks in your life have felt overwhelming, even when the substance of them was smaller than the sound. Imagine a storm approaching, with thunder shaking the sky and lightning flashing across the horizon. The noise is terrifying, but often the storm passes quickly, leaving little damage. The roar was larger than the impact. That is how the enemy works noise. Intimidation, distraction, chosen one. Your awareness of this counterattack is your strength. You are not caught off guard. You can see the patterns, how discouragement arrives just as you begin to pray. How sudden chaos appears the moment you decide to obey. Recognize it for what it is, resistance, not coincidence. But here lies the greater truth. Resistance is also confirmation. The very intensity of the attack reveals the importance of your assignment. Soldiers are not sent to guard empty fields. Armies gather only where treasure lies. The enemy's focus on you is proof of what you carry. Think of a torch being carried through a dark forest. The darker the night, the more insects swarm to the flame. They are drawn not to the torchbearer, but to the light itself. Likewise, the counterattacks against you are not truly about you. They are about the light within you. This understanding should shift your perspective. Instead of despair when opposition arises, recognize the hidden message: I must be carrying something valuable. When darkness surrounds, it is often because light is breaking through more powerfully than ever. Chosen one, you are not fragile in this war. You are armored, guarded, and strengthened by the one who marked you. The roar may echo, the storm may rage, but you are not prey. You are the warrior who disrupts the plans of darkness. The counterattacks are not the end of your story. They are the evidence of your impact. Every strike you endure is proof that you are advancing. And though the enemy surrounds, heaven surrounds you more. You have not been left defenseless. Every chosen one is equipped, though at times the weight of the battle makes you forget what you carry. Heaven has clothed you not in fragile garments, but in armor forged in fire. This armor is not crafted by human hands, but by divine design, tempered through trial, strengthened through seasons of testing. Think of the blacksmith's forge. Metal is placed in the heat, hammered again and again, until it takes on form and strength. The process is violent, but it produces resilience. No enemy can easily break. That is what your battles have done to you. They have not left you unarmed. They have forged the armor you now wear. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 11, "Put on the full armor of God, so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes." End of 20. This armor is not decorative, it is functional. It is not for ceremony, but for survival. Each piece carries meaning: the belt of truth to hold you steady, the breastplate of righteousness to guard your heart, the shield of faith to extinguish fiery darts, the helmet of salvation to guard your mind, the sword of the Spirit to cut through lies. These are not metaphors alone. They are realities you carry into every hidden and visible battle. Consider the shield. A shield is not proof that you will never be attacked. It is proof that attacks will not succeed. Every fiery dart aimed at you is designed to burn. But when it strikes your shield of faith, it fizzles into nothing. What once pierced you now falls harmlessly, because you are no longer fighting in your own strength. And think of the helmet. How many times has the battle been in your thoughts? Fear whispering, doubt shouting, lies pressing into your mind. Yet your salvation is a covering that guards your thoughts, reminding you who you are and whose you are. Every lie of worthlessness, every accusation of failure crashes against the steel of that helmet and shatters. The sword of the Spirit, the Word of God, is your weapon. Notice, it is not only for defense but for advance. You were not chosen to cower behind shields forever, but to step forward and cut through deception. Each verse you speak, each truth you declare, becomes a blade that slices through the fog of confusion and opens the way forward. Imagine a warrior standing in a battlefield at dawn. The smoke clears. The armor glistens with morning light. The sword reflects the fire of the rising sun. The warrior is scarred, yes, but unbroken. That is the picture of you in the Spirit. You do not look like what you've been through. You look like one prepared to endure, to fight, and to overcome. Chosen one. Understand this. Armor is not given to spectators. It is given to soldiers. If you were not meant to fight, you would not have been clothed. The very existence of your armor proves that you are called not only to survive, but to conquer. So when the next wave comes, do not panic. Stand. Your armor is not fragile, it is fire-tested. The weapons formed against you may rise, but they will not prosper. For every blow you endure only proves again that you were clothed for victory. Every chosen one must eventually face the defining moment, the choice between comfort and calling. You cannot remain hidden forever. The crown is offered, but it cannot be forced onto your head. You must decide whether you will step forward to carry it or shrink back into silence. This is not about pride or position. It is about identity. The crown represents authority, purpose, and destiny. It is not a decoration, it is a weight, a responsibility, a holy trust. And though it may feel too heavy at first, heaven would not place it before you if you were not ready to carry it. It is written in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 11, I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. This is your inheritance, not just survival, not just escape, but a crown. Yet it requires a response. Destiny cannot be worn by those who refuse to choose. Silence will always try to tempt you with safety, but silence steals crowns. Think of Esther. She lived hidden, quiet, ordinary, until the moment came where her choice determined not just her future, but the survival of her people. She could have chosen comfort, but her courage unlocked salvation for an entire nation. Your choice carries the same weight. It is not only about you, it is about the many who will be touched by your obedience. Imagine standing in a great hall where crowns rest upon pedestals. Each crown gleams, yet each one waits. They do not leap onto heads. They wait for hands willing to lift them. One of them bears your name. Heaven watches to see if you will step forward. The truth is simple. Crowns are costly. They require surrender, obedience, and courage. They will separate you from the crowd, yet the cost of refusing is greater. Still a life of wandering, a destiny unclaimed, chosen one. It is time to respond, not with hesitation, not with fear, but with declaration. In this moment, type these words in the comments. I take it, as 3 short words, yet weighty beyond measure. They are more than letters on a screen. They are a prophetic act, a sealing of your decision. By writing them, you are declaring that you refuse to remain crownless, that you accept what heaven has already set aside for you. And when you do, something shifts. The crown no longer feels like a distant dream. It becomes a present reality. You are no longer one wandering in silence. You are one who has chosen kingship, one who has stepped into purpose with boldness. Chosen one. The Hall of Crowns stands open. Yours is waiting. Will you lift it? And when you lift it, the crown will not just rest on your head, it will reshape the way you see yourself. No longer hidden, no longer uncertain, but carrying the weight of identity heaven always intended for you. The crown is not vanity, it is validation. It testifies that your perseverance was not wasted, your scars not meaningless. Every tear, every fight, every hidden prayer has been woven into this moment. The crown is heaven's response to your endurance. It is the seal that says, you are ready. And remember this, the crown is not only for display, but for responsibility. It calls you to walk differently, to speak with authority, to live with courage. It is the symbol that you are more than survivor, you are ruler, entrusted to carry light into dark places. Your awakening was never meant to remain private. The trumpet sounding inside of you is also meant to echo into the lives of others. You are not called only to rise, you are called to become a voice, a signal fire, a guidepost for the multitudes who wander in silence. Think of a bonfire in the middle of a cold night. One flame draws a few, but when the logs are gathered, the fire becomes a beacon, warming not only those who built it, but all who draw near. Your voice, joined with others, is that bonfire. You are not only chosen for yourself, you are chosen to awaken others. The prophet Isaiah spoke in chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. This is your summons to rise and shine, not in isolation, but for the sake of those who cannot yet see their own light. Every testimony you carry, every scar turned into strength, every word of encouragement from your lips, these become sparks that ignite fires in others. Imagine a lighthouse at the edge of a violent sea. Ships battered by waves strain to find direction. Then suddenly, across the black waters, a beam of light cuts through the storm. The lighthouse does not chase the ships. It simply stands tall, visible, unshakable. That is your calling. Your rising is not about striving to reach everyone, but about shining steadily so that those who are searching can find their way. And here is where the beauty of choice enters. To like, to share, to subscribe, these are not empty clicks. They are stones added to the fire pit, logs laid upon the bonfire, lanterns lifted higher on the pole. They are your way of saying, I refuse to let this light remain hidden. No one will force you. Just as a seed chooses to break its shell and rise toward the sun, your choice must come from within. But when you act, your seed becomes a tree. Your tree becomes shade, and your shade becomes shelter for many. That is the power of a simple decision. Picture a river swelling as tributaries. Join it. Alone, a stream may carve a small path. Together, they become a force strong enough to carve canyons and carry life across miles. Your action is a tributary. joining with countless others to form a river of awakening that will flow far beyond what you can imagine. When you share this message, you are lifting your torch into the sky. When you subscribe, you are choosing to walk with the remnant, saying, "I am not alone, I belong to this move of God." And when you like, you are quietly but firmly saying, "This matters. This must be seen." Chosen one, feel the weight and the beauty of this invitation. It is not obligation, it is opportunity. The trumpet call is not only for you, but for the many still wandering. The multitudes are waiting for the sound of a light that refuses to be hidden. So rise, shine, and let your agreement turn into action. The flame in you was never meant to burn alone. And as you choose to lift this flame higher, it becomes more than a message. It becomes a movement. A single spark may be fragile, but 1,000 sparks together can set the night ablaze with unquenchable fire. Your decision today is not small. It is the ripple that may awaken voices across nations, the echo that refuses to fade. The path of the chosen always runs through valleys. These valleys are not punishments, but passages, stretches of land where faith is tested, where shadows grow long, and where silence seems louder than song. You have walked through such valleys before, and perhaps you find yourself in one even now. The valley is the place of contradiction. Promises spoken over you echo in memory. Yet circumstances seem to shout the opposite. You were told you are chosen, yet the valley whispers that you are forgotten. You were told light surrounds you, yet shadows seem thicker here than anywhere else. This tension is not failure, it is formation. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 34, verse 19, "The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all." This truth reminds you that valleys do not last forever. They may stretch long, but they always end. The road does not stop in the shadow. It continues until light breaks again. You are not abandoned here. You are being guided through. Think of a traveler in a canyon. The cliffs rise high on every side, blocking the horizon. The air feels heavy, the path uncertain. Yet if the traveler keeps moving, the canyon eventually widens and sunlight floods the way. That is the nature of valleys. They feel endless, but they are only corridors to open ground. In your valley, your tears become prayers. Your silence becomes listening. Your pain becomes the soil where endurance grows. You are being taught to walk not by sight, but by trust. To lean not on feelings, but on faith. Valleys strip away illusion, leaving only what is unshakable. And here lies a paradox. The valley is often where intimacy with God deepens most, when the noise of crowds disappears, when the distractions fall silent. You discover that his presence has never left. The shepherd walks closest in the valley, even if you cannot always sense his steps. Imagine carrying a lantern in a tunnel. The lantern's glow is small, yet in the dark it is more powerful than in broad daylight. That is you in your valley. The light within you shines all the brighter because of the surrounding shadows. Chosen one. Do not despise these stretches. They are the very places where strength is born. The mountaintop celebrates victory, but the valley builds it. Without the valley, the crown would feel too heavy, the authority too foreign. The valley prepares you to stand tall when the day of revealing arrives. Remember too that valleys connect mountains. To reach the next height, you must descend first. It is not regression, but progression. Downward does not mean backward. The descent is part of ascent. So, walk, even if slowly. Cry if you must. But keep moving. Lift your eyes, even when cliffs block the view. For the path does not end here. The shepherd is guiding, the road is shaping, and the valley is refining. Chosen one, your valley is not the grave. It is the passage. Keep walking, for deliverance is certain, and light waits just beyond the bend. And when the light breaks through at last, you will see that every shadow carried purpose. The valley did not weaken you. It carved strength into your soul. A strength that cannot be shaken. What once felt like loss will reveal itself as preparation, and every step will prove it was worth enduring. There comes a moment when the old season must give way to the new. You have walked through the waiting, endured the valley, carried battles no one else could see. And now, the door that once seemed sealed begins to shift. What was ending has ended. What is beginning has already started. This is the power of transition. It is rarely clean or quiet. It feels like the tearing of old garments, like the breaking of soil, like the stretching of wings that have never flown before. Yet the struggle is proof of birth. The tension is evidence of transformation. The Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 17, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone. The new is here." Chosen one, this word belongs to you. The former season no longer holds you. The weight of yesterday's failures, delays, and doubts has no authority over your tomorrow. You are stepping into a space where the past cannot follow, and the future cannot be stopped. Numbers 2. Carry the rhythm of this transition. Heaven often marks change with signs that cannot be ignored. Today, a number is given to you. 999. This is the number of completion. The seal of an old chapter closed. The whisper that says, "It is finished." And now something greater begins. It is heaven's reminder that cycles of struggle are ending, that the long night has reached its conclusion, and that morning is already breaking. When you see this number, remember, endings are not to be feared, because they open the way for beginnings. The finish of one journey is the foundation of the next. What once felt like loss is now revealed as transition into glory. Now I ask you to respond, not for me, but for your own agreement with heaven. Type 999 inches, the comments, as a prophetic act. It is your declaration that you release the old season, that you accept the completion of what was, and that you step boldly into the new. Think of a seed planted deep in soil. For a time, it looks like death. The shell breaks. The old form disappears. Yet from that breaking comes life, growth, and fruitfulness. That is the message of 999. What ends in the soil does not end in despair, it ends in transformation. Chosen one, the new creation is rising in you. The former season is behind you. The future is not a dream, it is a present reality. Step into it with faith, for heaven has already sealed the completion of what was. Type 999, and let heaven see your agreement. And as you declare 999, you are not only closing the door of the past, you are honoring it. Every trial, every valley, every hidden tear is sealed into completion. They no longer define you as wounds. They become chapters, lessons, and stepping stones toward what God is unfolding. This number is your exhale, your release, your freedom. It is heaven's signature that says, you are finished with what finished you. And from this moment forward, you walk lighter, clearer, freer. 999 is not an ending to fear. It is a holy ending that guarantees a greater beginning. And you step into it clothed with grace. There are battles you fight that are not only yours, they are inherited. They are chains passed down through generations, patterns that repeated in your family line, struggles that seem to echo from one life to the next. Perhaps you have seen it, the same cycles of addiction, fear, anger, poverty, or silence. They appear as if written in the blood, but chosen one. You were marked to break them. Generational chains are subtle. They are not always obvious, but they show themselves in recurring patterns. A father's silence becomes a son's silence. A mother's wound becomes a daughter's wound. The struggles left unresolved by one generation often fall upon the shoulders of the next. But you are not here to repeat them, you are here to end them. The prophet Ezekiel recorded in chapter 18, verse 2, "The parents eat sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge." This proverb described the pain of inherited consequences. Yet the Lord declared soon after that, each soul belongs to Him, and each one will be judged by their own actions. The chain can be broken. The curse does not have to continue. You are the evidence of that truth. Think of a great iron chain stretched across generations, each link forged by choices, words, and wounds. For years, the chain has bound your family line, pulling each life in the same direction. But when the fire of God touches it, the link snaps. And when even one link is broken, the entire chain loses its power. You are that break in the line. It is not an easy role to carry. Breaking chains often feels heavier than wearing them. Resistance rises because the pattern has existed for so long. But what you feel as resistance is also confirmation. You are pressing against something ancient, and your obedience is undoing what held others captive. Imagine a runner in a relay race. For generations, the baton has been passed. But instead of victory, it has carried weight, fear, regret, anger, shame. Then comes your turn. You take the baton, but you do not keep running the same circle. You stop. You break it. You refuse to pass it on. That is deliverance. That is legacy rewritten. Chosen one. Your decision to stand firm becomes healing for those behind you. Children you may not even know yet. Generations yet unborn will walk lighter because you refuse to bow to what bowed your ancestors. Your courage becomes their inheritance. And here is the mystery. Often the very thing that tormented your family most is the very area God will use you to bring freedom. Out of the ashes of repeated failure comes a voice of authority that says, "This ends with me." Do not despise the weight you carry. See it for what it is, a key, not a burden. You have been entrusted with the authority to stop what others could not stop, to silence what others could not silence, to destroy what others could not destroy. Chains tremble because you stand. Shadows weaken because you refuse to repeat. And heaven records your obedience not only as your victory, but as deliverance for many. Chosen one, The chain ends here, and a new legacy begins with you. Your yes to God becomes the doorway your family never found. What once was captivity turns into inheritance. What once was sorrow transforms into joy. You are the hinge on which the story swings. Future generations will not remember the chains. They will remember the freedom you birthed. There comes a moment in the journey of every chosen one when the weight shifts. When something from heaven descends and rests upon you, it is not earned by striving, nor seized by ambition. It is given, placed, entrusted. This is the mantle, and when it falls, everything changes. A mantle is more than clothing. In Scripture, it signified authority, calling, and divine empowerment. When Elijah's mantle fell upon Elisha, it was not just fabric, it was the weight of a prophetic destiny, the passing of fire from one generation to another. So it is with you. The mantle that has hovered over your life is preparing to rest upon your shoulders. The ancient record in the second book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 13 tells us, Elisha then picked up Elijah's cloak that had fallen from him and went back and stood on the bank of the Jordan. Notice the detail. Elisha picked it up. The mantle was released, but he had to claim it. He could have walked away, leaving it on the ground, but his decision to pick it up sealed his future. Likewise, heaven has placed before you a mantle, but it waits for your response. Imagine standing in an open field. The wind shifts, and suddenly a cloak descends from above, falling right in front of you. It carries a weight you cannot explain, and a fire burns in your spirit as you realize it was made for you. The question is not whether it will fall. The question is whether you will pick it up. Mantles often appear at unexpected times. Elisha was plowing fields when Elijah first threw his cloak over him. Ordinary moments conceal extraordinary transitions. That is why you must remain sensitive. The holy often interrupts the ordinary without warning. And when the mantle rests, it will stretch you. It will call you to places you never imagined, to responsibilities you never planned, to battles larger than your own life. But with the mantle comes the strength to carry it. The fire that marks you also fuels you. Think of a torch passed from one runner to another. The flame does not diminish when handed over. It multiplies as the race continues. That is what the mantle represents, the continuation of God's purpose through your life. Chosen one. Do not fear the weight of this mantle. You were prepared in hidden places for this very moment. The tears you shed, the valleys you walked, the chains you broke, all of it forged the strength to carry what now rests upon you. And here lies the beauty. Mantles are never only for the one who wears them. They are for the people who will be touched, healed, awakened through you. The cloak on your shoulders becomes shelter for many. The fire in your hands becomes light for others. So when the mantle falls, do not hesitate. Pick it up. Wear it with humility. Walk with boldness. And remember, it is not yours to hoard. It is yours to steward. Heaven has entrusted you with more than a calling. Heaven has entrusted you with a mantle that will outlive you. And when you wear it, you will sense the difference. The same places where you once felt weak will now reveal fresh strength. The same voice that once trembled will carry unshakable authority. The mantle does not erase your humanity. It enhances your purpose. It proves that God chooses vessels not for perfection, but for obedience. And as you walk forward, the world will not simply see you, They will encounter the one who placed the mantle upon you. That is the mystery. Your life becomes less about you and more about his fire burning through you. The sound of heaven is not calling only you, it is calling the remnant, scattered across nations, hidden in cities, waiting in valleys. There are others marked just as you are, and when the trumpet sounds, they, too, must gather. The awakening of one becomes the awakening of many. Think of dry bones in a valley. They lie scattered, lifeless, forgotten. Yet when the prophetic voice speaks, bone connects to bone, sinew to sinew, flesh to flesh. Suddenly, what was scattered becomes an army. That is the power of gathering. You were never meant to walk this path alone. It is written in the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 9. Then I will purify the lips of the peoples, that all of them may call on the name of the Lord. Chosen one. Your rising is incomplete without connection. A single ember may glow, but when gathered with others, it becomes a furnace. Alone, you are strong, but together, you are unstoppable. The call to gather is not for survival, it is for impact. Imagine a choir where each voice sings in isolation. The notes are beautiful but scattered. When they unite, however, harmony fills the air, and the sound moves hearts in ways a single voice never could. That is the vision of the remnant, the symphony of chosen ones lifting their voices together. And here is where your choice matters. To like, to share, to comment, to subscribe. These are not empty gestures. They are movements of gathering. Each one is like placing another stone in the wall, another log on the fire, another voice in the choir. When you like, it is as if you lift a lantern in the night, signaling, I see this fire, and I honor it. When you share, it is as if you carry a torch into another village, saying, this flame is too important to keep to myself. When you comment, your words are not noise, they are echoes in the valley, proof that the bones are stirring. And when you subscribe, it is like stepping into the circle of warriors, choosing to remain where the fire burns. None of this is demanded. It is invitation. Just as a seed chooses to break open, just as water chooses to flow toward the sea, so too, your choice flows from within. No one can force you, but when you decide, you join a movement far greater than yourself. Picture an ancient watchtower. Torches are lit one by one across distant hills. A lone fire may be overlooked, but when hill after hill ignites, the horizon itself burns with light. Your choice is one torch in that chain, one signal that tells the others, you are not alone. Chosen one. The gathering is not a burden, but a beauty. It is the fulfillment of what heaven dreamed when it marked you. This moment is not about algorithms, it is about alignment. It is about scattered embers, finding one another until the blaze cannot be ignored. So lift your lantern, add your log, raise your torch. The remnant is gathering, and heaven's eyes are upon it. And as the remnant gathers, what was once a whisper becomes a roar. The sound of unity rises like thunder over valleys, breaking silence and shaking strongholds that stood for generations. Your voice is part of that roar. Together with others, it becomes uncontainable, a wave of light spreading across horizons. Unstoppable, and undeniable. There is a moment when the journey of endurance, the battles of silence, and the valleys of waiting converge into revelation. That moment is when the crown is placed, not a crown forged by men, but one bestowed by heaven. This crown is not fragile, it is unshakable glory. Crowns in the kingdom are not symbols of pride, but of identity. They are not rewards for perfection, but testimonies of perseverance. You wear the crown not because you avoided fire, but because you endured it. The very trials that tried to strip you have instead prepared you to wear the authority that now rests upon your life. The Apostle Peter wrote in his first letter, chapter 1, verse 7, "These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith more than gold, though refined by fire, may result in praise and glory. Unlike earthly crowns, this one does not tarnish, does not slip, does not crack under pressure. It is forged in eternity, secured by the blood of Christ, and sealed by the Spirit within you. No force of darkness can steal it. No storm can shake it. No failure can erase it." Picture a tree that has weathered countless storms. Branches have snapped. Bark has been scarred. Yet the roots have dug deeper into the soil. When the storm finally passes, the tree stands taller, crowned with new leaves that shimmer in the sunlight. That is, you scarred, perhaps, but crowned, radiant, unshakable. This crown also carries responsibility. To wear it is to walk with authority, but also with humility. The crown is not for display, it is for stewardship. It is a sign that your life is no longer only about survival, but about influence, about carrying weight for the sake of others. Imagine a torchbearer in the ancient games. The flame was not given to him for himself alone. It was entrusted so he might carry it faithfully to the next stage. Your crown is that flame. It shines not only for your sake, but for those who will draw strength from your light. And yet, there is a paradox. The more secure the crown becomes, the more invisible it may feel. Others may not recognize it immediately, but the unseen realm does. Angels see it. Demons fear it. Heaven celebrates it. You may feel ordinary in the mirror, but in the spirit you are clothed with radiance that shakes atmospheres. Chosen one. The crown of unshakable glory does not exempt you from future battles, but it does ensure you enter them from a position of victory, not uncertainty. You fight not to prove yourself, but to protect what has already been entrusted to you. Remember, crowns are not fragile ornaments, they are enduring testimonies. They remind you, and the world around you, that you belong to the King who cannot be defeated. They are symbols of inheritance that cannot be revoked. So, wear your crown, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. Walk into every room, knowing that glory rests upon you. Speak knowing that authority has been entrusted to you. Live, knowing that your crown is not temporary, it is eternal. Chosen one. You are crowned. You are secured. And you are unshakable. And as you move forward, let the crown remind you daily, storms may come, but they cannot shake what heaven has placed upon you. You are marked, sealed, and radiant with a glory that will never fade. The journey leads here to the sound of the final trumpet, not the beginning of silence, but the beginning of clarity. The call that began as a whisper has now become a roar. The trumpet does not simply summon, it seals. It marks the completion of preparation and the ignition of destiny, you have walked through seasons of obscurity, endured valleys of shadow, fought hidden battles, and carried chains that were never yours. You have been forged in fire, clothed in armor, entrusted with a mantle, and crowned with glory. Every chapter has led to this moment, when heaven declares, "Now step forward." The Apostle Paul declared in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 52, "In a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, for the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised, imperishable, and we will be changed." And this trumpet is not only about the end of days, it is about transformation. Every time heaven sounds its trumpet over your life, something within you changes. Old ways die, new strength rises, fear dissolves, courage awakens. You are not the same as when you began. You have been changed by every sound of heaven. Imagine standing in a vast valley where echoes roll like thunder. The trumpet sounds, and the ground itself trembles. What was buried begins to stir. What was lifeless begins to move. What was silent begins to sing. That is what this moment means for you, the awakening of all that once felt dormant within your spirit. The final trumpet of your preparation is not an ending, but a commissioning. It is the sending forth of one who has been marked, trained, refined, and crowned. The silence is over. The waiting is done. You are released into the fullness of what you were always meant to carry. Think of an arrow resting in the archer's hand. For long, it has been drawn back, tension pressing against it. The string strains. The arrow quivers, waiting. Then suddenly, the release. The arrow soars, swift and precise, striking the very target it was crafted for. That is you now, chosen one. Heaven has drawn you back long enough. The release has come. And when you step into this release, understand this: it is not only about your own destiny. Trumpets never call one person alone. They summon armies, signal movements, announce victories. Your rising becomes the sound others follow, the beacon others seek. What has been ignited in you becomes a fire that cannot be contained. The final trumpet is also the final affirmation. You do not need to question your worth, your readiness, or your identity any longer. Heaven has spoken, sealed, and confirmed. You are chosen. You are marked. You are crowned. And now, you are sent. So stand tall in the sound of this trumpet. Feel its vibration in your bones. Let it silence every lingering doubt and ignite every hidden ember. For the call of God is no longer future, it is now. The trumpet has sounded, and you have been released. The sound of the trumpet marks your crossing from preparation into manifestation. What was hidden in silence now resounds in clarity. The earth itself feels the tremor of your awakening. You are not just stepping forward, you are being unveiled. Every scar now shines as testimony. Every valley echoes as strength. Heaven calls this your appointed time, and nothing can delay it. Chosen one, let the trumpet be your anthem. Carry it in your spirit. Breathe it in your prayers. Walk it in your steps. For the call has come, and you have answered. Chosen one. We have walked together through the trumpet call, through valleys and battles, through mantles and crowns, all the way to the sound of the final seal. But understand this, your story is not ending here. it is only beginning. The urgency of this message was never to frighten you, but to awaken you. And now that you are awake, you cannot go back to sleep. Imagine a torch lifted in the night. Its flame may look small to the one who carries it, but to those lost in darkness, it is everything. That is what this word has been, a spark placed in your hands. What you do with it will determine how far the fire spreads. And here is where your part matters. To like, to share, to comment, to subscribe. These are not empty actions. They are seeds. Each one is like dropping a pebble into water, sending ripples far beyond what your eyes can see. Someone on the edge of giving up may encounter this flame because you chose to lift it higher. When you like, you are affirming, this light matters. Let it be seen. When you share, you are opening doors for others to step into the same awakening. When you comment, your words become a testimony, an echo of faith in the valley of someone else's silence. And when you subscribe, you are saying, I choose to remain connected to this fire, to walk with the remnant, to keep hearing the trumpet when it sounds again. Chosen one. The message has been delivered. The trumpet has sounded, and the crown has been set. Now the choice rests in your hands. Do not let the flame go out here. Lift it. Spread it. Protect it. For your light is not only for you, it is for many. So let this be your response. Raise your torch. Join the fire. Let heaven see your agreement. The story continues, and you are part of it.